Welcome back to Lesson 2. At the end of Lesson 1, I promised that we'd return to the issue of repeats in music. Da capo, or DC, and dal segno, or DS, are useful ways of directing performers to return to the beginning, the capo, or the sign, the segno, and then proceeding either to the end of the piece, fine, or to that point where the performer jumps to an ending, or coda. They're helpful in saving paper and printing costs, but they're also useful for music learners in that they highlight the structure used by composers to write their music. The other very common way of indicating repeats is the use of repeat bars, a thick line, a thin line, and two dots at the beginning of each section to be repeated, and two dots, a thin line and a thick line at the end of the section to be repeated. If there is no start repeat bar, the end repeat bar is an instruction to repeat from the beginning. These repeat bars often take the place of ordinary bar lines, but can appear in the middle of bars as well. Sometimes the bar, or maybe more than one bar, before the end repeat bar, can have above them a first time bar instruction, which means in a repeated section, play this the first time. When this happens, usually the bar after the end repeat bar will have a similar second time bar instruction, meaning that on the second playthrough, the performer should skip the first time bar or bars and jump to the second time bars. Sometimes in music for more than one instrument, say for orchestra, it may be that one or more instruments might be needed to play the same thing several times over and over again, while other instruments play something different. A useful shorthand sign to indicate a repetition of a bar for individual instruments is this. And of course, this sign can be replicated for as many bars as needed. As a rule, you'd never see this sign in music for piano solo, but it is very commonly used in orchestral and band parts. If you've come to this as pianists primarily, you will almost never see the following shorthand signs for repeated notes, but you do need to know these for Grade 5 theory. Remember, Grade 5 theory isn't just an examination qualification for people learning the piano. It affects all instruments. A crotchet with its stem broken by a single beam is shorthand for two quavers. Quavers with stems broken by a beam, or a crotchet with its stem broken with two beams, is shorthand for four semiquavers. A semibreve with beams written above or below is shorthand for a semibreve's worth of semiquavers. In other words, 16 semiquavers. These signs are very common in orchestral music, particularly for stringed instruments, so you do need to know them. Okay, let's get a few more Italian words learnt, all to do with tempo or speed, starting with quick words and then getting slower. The Italian for fast is presto, and of course, to become very fast, we change the last O to issimo to make prestissimo. Presto, prestissimo. For quick, but not as fast as presto, you could use vivace, or vivo, or con brio, which literally means with brilliance, or con moto, with movement, or allegro. and slightly slower than allegro is allegretto. A far better translation for allegro than the quick you'll see in Discovering Music Theory Book 1 is brisk. I once sat in a barber's chair in Rome and asked for a short haircut. The barber replied, "Ah, allegro," and proceeded to give me a very, very short crew cut. Brisk or brush-like. It's not a bad idea with these tempo words to associate them with the act of walking or running. The running words are prestissimo, a fast run, and presto is a jog. But the others, vivace, vivo, con brio, con moto, allegro and allegretto, are a quick walk. Moving to more of an amble or stroll, we have the rather obvious moderato and andante, which means at a medium or walking speed. A word which causes huge confusion is andantino, which I suppose means a little andante or andante-ish. I personally never use this word when I compose because some people think it means slightly faster than andante, but not as fast as allegro, and other people think it means slightly slower than andante. You do need to know it for the exam though. Now for slow walking. Adagio. Adagio, slowly, broadly. Lento. Lento, slow, slower than adagio. Largamente, broadly. Larghetto. Remember when you write this, there's an H lurking in the middle of that word. Larghetto, rather slow, and largo, slow and stately, usually slower than lento. And slowest of all, grave, spelt grave, very slow and solemn. Think funeral march speed. And you can mix these words up a little like this. Allegro con brio, brisk and with vigour. Andante moderato, at a moderately walking speed. And a very useful phrase is ma non troppo, which means but not too much. Adagio ma non troppo, broad but not too much. And just a couple more to do with speed or tempo. Comodo or tempo comodo, at a convenient or comfortable speed. Rubato, with some freedom of speed, variable, literally robbing the value of some notes to give it to other notes. You'll see a lot of this in music by Chopin. If you come to a point in a piece of music and need to go a little quicker or slower, it's a good idea to use, for more movement, più mosso. Più mosso. Don't forget the little accent on the U in più. And less movement, meno mosso. But if you want a gradual getting faster or slower, you should use, for getting faster, accelerando, abbreviated ACCEL, or stringendo. For getting slower, there are three words which all technically have slightly different meanings, although most theory books merely say gradually becoming slower. They are ralentando, abbreviated as RAL, retardando, abbreviated as either retard or rit, and ritenuto, abbreviated as either written or, a little confusingly, writ again. I want you to imagine you are cycling up a hill and need to stop at the top. All you need to do is stop pedalling. This is the closest I can give to a description of rallentando. It hints at running out of energy and momentum. Now cycle down the hill. If you want to stop at the bottom, you will need to use your brakes. This is a different sort of slowing down, one where you actually have to do something in order to slow down, rather than just running out of momentum. This is the nearest to ritardando. Finally, and I'm grateful to Harry T for this image, cycle up the hill again, but this time you're carrying on your back a heavy rucksack holding you back. This is the closest to ritenuto. There is one other word you might see for getting slower, or getting broader, or broadening: allargando. And if, after all that changing of speed, slower or faster, you need to go back to your original speed, you could say a tempo, which literally means in time, or tempo primo, which means back to the first speed. And tempo primo is often abbreviated as tempo 1mo. And this brings us to the end of the Italian words to do with speed. In lesson 3, we will look at Italian words to do with mood, as well as a few more important symbols used in stave notation. See you soon.